Are the Eagles really going to get Myles Garrett? Like, this is stupid. We can't let them do this. Howie Roseman is turning into the Heisenberg. He can't keep getting away with this. Is this going to happen?
I would just tell you this, Brockman. I talked to everyone I could at the combine about Myles Garrett and all the top stories. But Myles is a really unique one because you're talking about an absolute superstar, maybe the best in the league, former defensive player of the year, 30 years old. He's got good years left. And the Browns, as I said the day that he made the trade request, the Browns stand ready to make him the highest paid non-quarterback. This is not about money. Myles does not want to be in Cleveland. The Browns, though, every time they've been asked, and when people have talked to Andrew Berry, when they've called, if they call, they don't get a call back. If they talk to Andrew Berry in person, Berry makes abundantly clear, I am not trading him. There's still time for things to evolve, conversations to occur. I would say the real touchstone, yeah, you'd like to, from a dollars perspective, you would like to think if you're getting Myles Garrett, you're doing it before free agency, just so you don't have to spend on a different edge player. You don't have to, you've got, you know that you don't have to conserve the cap resources to potentially get them later. But the real cutoff in my mind would be the draft, because if the Browns were to change their minds, because again, right now, they are not trading Myles Garrett. If they were to change their minds, I would certainly think that would occur ideally before the draft, because otherwise, if you're trading Myles Garrett, you're talking about multiple first-round picks as the starting point. Well, first-round picks in 2026 and 2027 don't help the 2025 Browns, who need all the help that they can get here. If they're going to bend on this, I would think that potentially it could be a draft week thing sometime as we get closer to late April. I would say, again, ideally you'd like to resolve it before the start of free agency, but in the Browns' mind, at least in Andrew Berry's mind, there already is a resolution, which is I'm not trading the guy. We got him under contract for 2 more years. He's not going to sit out. He's not going to, he wants to be a Hall of Famer. He's probably headed that direction. He's not going to sit out games. We're going to sit and wait, and we're going to do other things that maybe help convince Myles to get back in the fold. Obviously, neither side, they're both dug in on opposite ends of the spectrum right now, and we'll see as these coming weeks play out whether or not that changes.
I mean, I'm just shaking my head here because
But the Eagles, like, come on.
don't be so bitter. Come on.
Well, remember
I don't
this
care. I
too.
picked them to win. I'm just saying.
Beyond that, if you're the Eagles, I'm not saying the Eagles shouldn't explore it. Howie's in on every deal. That's the one thing. Anytime there's rumors like the Eagles are interested in Myles Garrett, the Eagles would be interested in any player who plausibly becomes available. And Howie's always going to call. He's always going to say, hey, let me know if you end up doing something here. And everybody knows they get that call from Howie. It's not that he's not serious. It's that he always wants to know what's happening just in case there's an opportunity. He doesn't want to not get the call and be like, dude, why didn't you call me?
Right.
I might have been in on that.
Sure.
So I would anticipate he asked. But remember, Howie is drafted unbelievably well in recent years. I mean, look no further than the Super Bowl when they manhandled the Chiefs on both sides of the football. It's because of the investment they've made in the offensive and defensive line, the number of high picks here. Eventually, you got to pay Jalen Carter. You got to maybe pay. We'll see what happens with Milton Williams, who's going to get a bag in free agency. You got to pay maybe Zach Bond. I know they'd like to pay Zach Bond, but can they actually get that done? At some point, it's like all that additional money to go and get Myles Garrett. I'm not saying it's impossible, but you're talking about really, bending physics here in terms of the salary cap. So, it's the same thing with the Lions. I know that everybody keeps going, the Lions going to get Myles Garrett. Well, they're going to have another $35 million a year pass rusher in Aiden Hutchinson in the not too distant future. He's eligible for a contract extension right now. And I would think Detroit at least has to give mind to, we should do this deal before Myles and Micah Parsons and Max Crosby and TJ Watt and maybe Trey Henderson all get 35 plus, because that's going to be even more expensive. No team I'm aware of has 2 $35 million pass rushers on their team. You just have to remember that in terms of the way the cap is set up. And yes, you can manipulate it, but the cap is real. Every dollar you spend hits the salary cap eventually here. Again, nothing's impossible. There are ways to work it. I've just never seen a team invest that much money, particularly teams like the Eagles and Lions who have homegrown guys that they're going to pay.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show live weekdays from 12 to 3 p.m. Eastern on Roku Sports Channel in the U.S.